Am I the asshole here for banning my wife's friend from my house after she pushed me for taking my drunk wife home? My wife is 27 and I am 28. My wife has a friend. A bit of a close friend. In fact, she's been friends with her since the last 2 years. I don't like her at all, and a lot of people find her insufferable. This weekend, my wife told me that she's going to her friend's house and she'll spend her evening and night at her place with her 2 other friends. I asked her if they'll drink, and she told me yes, but she won't go overboard this time, and she'll book a cab and come to home before 10. I told my wife that she won't book a cab, I'll come pick her up, and she shouldn't drink too much. She promised me she won't, but I had this feeling that she might drink too much because my wife has tendencies of overdrinking, especially when she's excited and partying, so I went to pick her up an hour before. When I showed up at her friend's place, I saw all of these drunk women dancing, drinking, and screaming like they ran out of a mental asylum, and my wife was laying on the couch, clearly drunk. I grabbed my wife, and I told her that it's time to leave. Her friends stopped me and insisted to let my wife stay for a bit longer, and even my wife said to wait for a bit. I told them that they've been having fun and drinking for so many hours, and it's more than enough for today. When I tried to leave with my wife, her friend tried to stop me a bit, forcefully, and when I didn't listen to her, she pushed me and called me controlling and cursed me in front of everyone. I told her that the only reason I'm not retaliating is because she's a woman and I'm in her house, but from this moment, she's not allowed in my house, and if she comes over to my house ever again, I'll call the police. I left with my wife, and after we got home, I fed her, in which she puked at midnight and went to sleep with me, and she didn't sleep until midnight and didn't let me sleep either, and kept saying, my husband, and hugged me, and she kept complimenting me. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy that, but anyway, now all of her friends are telling me that I'm being a controlling husband, and I have no right to tell my wife what she can and can't do, and that I don't have the right to ban her friend from her house. Am I the asshole? Sure, I'm a bit angry, but my anger is not without reason, and if I appear as a controlling husband, I think my wife's situation warrants it, and I'm just doing what I think is best for my wife. In the comments, Opie responds to multiple comments about him being controlling over his wife's drinking and social habits. Opie replies, "How often I control my wife's drinking habits? As often as I can. I don't want her to die of alcohol poisoning or something of the sort when we're still so damn young. I'm not her father, I'm her husband. And if that makes me a controlling husband just because I'm making sure my wife doesn't overdrink and trying to save the life of the person I love the most, then I'll gladly accept that I'm the most controlling husband on the planet alive." Bit dramatic, right? I feel the same way when I see my wife wasted, so if she can't control her drinking, then I'll do it on her behalf. I'm not sure how old you are, or if you're okay with your loved ones ruining their life, but I think alcohol is a real problem. At least what I think. I'm not sure about you. A commenter says, "We need more. What did your wife have to say the next day when the hangover passed, and she learned about all that happened?" OP says, "My wife didn't remember exactly what happened. My wife agreed with me when I told her that her friend is no longer allowed in my house. Her question to me was I really that drunk? And I just said yes, and I told her that I'm not letting her get that drunk like this ever again. She didn't meet or go over to her friend's house after that weekend, and she didn't drink more than a shot a day. I see improvement, and she's guilty, so I'm taking it slow with her and letting her think for herself. It's actually so stupid and concerning that most of the Redditors here are saying that I'm controlling, but do not understand my wife's drinking habits. I know my wife has a problem with alcohol, and I hope and pray to God that my wife would be just as controlling and do what needs to be done to help me escape my addiction if I asked her instead. My wife is addicted, and her friends are encouraging her instead of helping her stop. Do these commenters have any experience what it's like to live with an alcoholic, to clean puke at midnight? It's not in me to just give up on my love and find someone else. I would rather try my best to help my wife than just divorcing her and leave her on her own. I love her more than anything else, and if I have to become a controlling husband, I will, as long as she stops getting drunk like this. I will do whatever it takes to help her with her alcoholism, and if it makes me an abuser or a controlling husband, then I'm okay with that, as long as my wife is healthy and leads a good life without alcohol. I'm losing my mind by just reading these comments. Another commenter says, "Not the asshole. You weren't controlling. You were looking out for your wife's safety. She was too drunk to make good decisions, and you made sure that she got home safely. Her friend pushing you and cursing at you was completely out of line. You have every right to ban someone from your house if they treat you with disrespect. Your wife's friends can be mad all they want, but they weren't the ones who had to take care of her all night." OP replies, "I'm just concerned about my wife and her safety and our lives. I don't care about anything else. I know my wife, and I know how much she drinks, and I'm trying to do what's best for her. I'm not sure what these Redditors are thinking. They think I'm controlling every action of my wife's? Like she has to ask for my permission for everything she has to do? No, but when it comes to alcohol, my wife clearly can't handle it and take care of herself, so as her husband, I will do what must be done. It's addiction, and my wife is having a problem with it. My wife loves me, and that's why she's with me. God forbid a spouse tries to put a stop to intoxication and takes care of their spouse when they're intoxicated." I'll take OP's side for this one. I understand why people think he's controlling in this instance, but she's suffering from alcoholism. OP wants her to be better. She wants to be better by the sounds of it. Her friends took advantage of that. Her friends then assaulted and demeaned OP in front of everyone else when he was just trying to get to his wife, get her back home, and help her. Yeah, if I'm in that situation, I'm going to be royally pissed off. I'm not going to want those friends back at my house. Those are not friends, those are enablers. I think OP needs support in this time, more so than being shouted at by people that don't see where he's coming from, maybe because he didn't provide enough context and information in his post that would help people be more empathetic of his position. I'm going not the asshole. And now, onto the updates. First off, I want to thank everyone for their helpful advice, and I didn't even realize that my post blew up and that I got 6,000 comments on my post. I stopped reading and started focusing on my wife and her health instead. When I logged back in, I read a lot of the comments. Obviously, I couldn't go through all of them, so to clarify, yes, when it comes to drinking, I'm a bit controlling. I keep my eyes on her and make sure she doesn't overdrink, and I won't let her grab a cab when she's drunk. I'm not sure why some people were upset that I didn't let my drunk wife grab a cab alone back home and picked her up instead. Even if I'm at work when she calls me, I'll leave work and go drive her home. It's not codependency. I'm just taking care of my wife when she's vulnerable. If she's sober, I obviously have no need to go through all of this. I'm not her father, I'm her husband, and I feel like it's my responsibility to help and take care of her when she's drunk. I told my wife that she's been drinking way too much. The amount of alcohol she consumes driving to social events is obnoxious, and even on a daily basis. I told her that after I brought her back from her friend's home, she drank only a shot a day when I was present, but when I wasn't with her, did she drink even more? I would never know. I told her that I want to help her and that I don't want to lose her, but I also don't want to clean her puke off the floor all the time, and your friends actually encourage you to drink more instead of stopping you, and when I tried to pick you up like I always do, your friends pushed me. She said she didn't realize that she was causing me so much trouble and she's going to stop drinking. I told her that drinking is fine as long as it's occasional and in moderation. Since then, my wife didn't drink much. She drank yesterday after almost a week, but didn't go overboard, and she said that she'll seek a counselor and seek medical treatment if she can't control herself. Am I controlling? Yeah, I guess, but only when it comes to alcohol. Even I didn't realize that my wife is getting addicted or is already addicted, and like others commented, that I can't forcefully help my wife and she'll start blaming me, etc. I still don't want to give up on my love. I love her, and I know that she loves me. She confesses her love to me in even more embarrassing ways than just hugging me and repeating, "my husband." I'm not a professional, but I'm currently making my wife exercise and make sure that she takes enough multivitamins. In the comments, quote, "She said she didn't realize that she was causing me so much trouble and she's going to stop drinking. I told her that drinking is fine as long as it's occasional and in moderation." I don't think that you are understanding of how alcoholism works. Occasional and in moderation doesn't exist for addicts. Their issue is that they can't stop after 1 to 2. They either don't drink or they drink until they black out or pass out. I appreciate you not wanting to be controlling, but in this case, it's absolutely okay to say no alcohol, period. It'd be better for her. OP says, "I hate to say it, but not being able to stop oneself sounds so much like what my wife does." Another commenter says, "We don't know enough to say this is what she does though. I think the person with her every day is much better at making a judgment. She definitely has an issue with alcohol, but I would hold up on claiming that she's already addicted. Some people just never learn that you don't have to go from 0 to 100 every time, especially when they first start drinking. It also doesn't help if you're partying with friends who also do the same." OP replies, "For now, my wife has gone for days without alcohol, and I felt like she's not a full-blown addict like other alcoholics. She told me that she would seek professional help if she fails to control herself from drinking. Now, I don't know if she drank behind my back and kept it hidden from me. Maybe I should tell her to seek counseling anyway to find out what's bothering her and why she's drinking, just to be safe." OP responds to clarify the facts on taking care of his wife like a father, not her husband. "I didn't write this post after so many days because people called me the asshole, and I don't care if online strangers think I'm an asshole and hate me because at the end of the day, neither of us know each other, and for me, the only thing that matters is my wife and her alcohol problem. I didn't mention the details about my wife and her alcohol relation because my post was about her friend and banning her because she pushed me. I did, however, talk about it in the replies. But after reading multiple women sharing their experience similar to my wife, I started focusing on my wife instead. And no, I'm not taking care of my wife like her dad. I'm taking care of my wife like she's sick because this unhealthy lifestyle is a sickness, at least in my eyes. If I'm sick and struggling with substances, I pray to God my wife will take care of me and baby me until I recover. As a partner, it's your responsibility to help your partner when they are sick. Maybe you don't agree with that and that's okay, but I will make sure to do whatever is necessary to keep my wife healthy and safe. And yeah, you're right about the controlling part. I agree that I'm controlling when it comes to alcohol. I would rather be a bit controlling than lose her forever." Odd Comfortable says, "I don't think she's an addict like other addicts. Says every single person who has loved an addict. What do you call an alcoholic that hasn't drunk for a week? An alcoholic. My cousin could not drink for months at a time, and then he'd go on a life-ruining bender and disappear for a week and not be sober for a year after it. My uncle rarely got drunk that you'd notice, but he had to have a couple of maintenance shots to level himself out every day. Alcoholism expresses differently in different people. The fact they would rather have alcohol than anything else good in their life is the telltale symptom. The thing about addiction is that no one wants to be an addict alone, and they feed on each other's addiction. Anyone who tries to break the habit is a problem." This one falls a bit out of my jurisdiction. I personally think that OP is handling the situation as best they can. It's not easy living with an addict. I really do think that. His wife has a very big alcohol addiction. This is not small peanuts. These are very big peanuts. I feel for the guy. I really do. I see why people jumped down his throat so hard in the first one, because they're like, controlling husband, that's no good. But if they were in his shoes, would they not want their partner to get better and to break the addiction if at all possible? I don't think he has too many options in this situation. Like, he either accepts her for who she is, tries to help her, or enables her and doesn't control her behaviors at all. And then that eventually would lead to their separation because you can't live with someone like that. I'm sure there's other ways that situation could go, but those to me are the most likely. And that just breaks my heart. I commend OP to come into the internet for answers, for help, for anything. And I really do hope that the advice he got from people helps him help her at least a little more. Thank you for the story, OP. Good luck. Our next post is by user Challenge Brave, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my biological sisters I don't want to meet our bio parents? I, 30 female, am a Chinese woman who was adopted from mainland China when I was a baby and grew up in the UK. I grew curious of my roots and if I had any family out there, so I took a 23andMe test. I found 4 full sisters through this test. I'm the oldest. My sisters are 29, 28, 24, and 20. The 3 middle sisters are in America, and the youngest is in Germany. We've kept in contact via the internet and have even met in person twice before COVID started. I have 2 brothers I grew up with who are my parents' biological sons, and as far as I'm concerned, they and my parents are my true family. But I have grown close to my biological sisters as we understand each other a lot. What my parents know of my birth story is that I was found in an alleyway in a box. My sisters were found relatively the same way from what they know, though they were left outside of buildings and public areas, so I'm a bit more bitter than they are about how we were abandoned, as I was left out of the way where I could have been missed. We recently got contacted by a new family member found by the test, an 18-year-old full brother who lives in France with our bio parents. Apparently, they moved there later in life. My biological sisters are excited by this and eager to meet them. They want the 5 of us to fly out together to meet our brother and family. I've told them that I won't stop them, but I have no interest in meeting the couple who clearly kept trying to have a boy and abandoned 5 daughters we know of, reminding them there could be more that we don't know about who haven't used 23andMe. They feel I'm being unreasonable in this, and I should at least go meet our brother. I'm fine with meeting him one day, but not with them there, and he and I have been exchanging emails for now. I know they want the 5 of us to go out as a united front in this, and me not wanting to go is disheartening for them, but I honestly feel bitter in regards to this whole situation." In the comments, Third Try is the Charm says, "Not the asshole. They want to go, you do not. That's fine on both sides. They have no business pushing you to go meet bio family." Cellular says, "Not the asshole. That is a very personal trauma for you, and it's especially worse for you as the one who was the oldest and was the closest to not having a life at all because of their abandonment. I hope you and your brother form as strong a bond as you and your sisters have. It isn't his fault your parents did this, and I hope they all come to understand your feelings and stop pushing it." OP replies, "It was a bit tough to work up the ability to exchange emails with him. After all, he is the goal they were clearly aiming for that resulted in myself and my bio sisters being abandoned. That being said, I reminded myself that he's really just a kid and none of this was his fault." The Bakercist says, "Not the asshole. I too am an abandoned person who was abandoned at birth, outside of a bodega in the bad part of town. I also took a DNA test and ended up meeting my biological family, and I regret it so very, very much. Meeting my siblings and birth parents sickened me so much that I felt as though I'll never get my mind back to where it used to be, and I had the unfortunate pleasure of being filmed for TV meeting them. It sucked finding out that I have an older brother with the same birthday as me, only he got to have a birthday party and I got left outside in the cold. Please don't ever think that you're an asshole for not wanting to meet your bio parents. You're not. Sometimes it's a lot worse than not knowing." OP says, "I'm so sorry. The idea of being filmed for that, it makes me want to throw up. I'm sorry you had to put up with that. I can imagine why that would suck finding out your older brother had the same birthday as you. I was left in the alley in winter. I'm not sure my exact birthday. We have a rough estimate, but nothing more. If you ever want to talk to someone who is similar in this, feel free to hit me up." Toe Select says, "Sorry to ask, but these things just make my blood boil. Did they seem at least remorseful? Did they understand how evil what they did to you was? From what you're saying, I guess not, and I guess you no longer talk to them." OP says, "I'm not the one who met their parents. You'd likely get a reply if you replied to them. Easy mistake to make on who you reply to. Thank you, and I'm so sorry you went through this as a baby. I can only imagine the pain. I hope you are happy and feel loved and valued by your real family." I'm going to guess that this is a long line of the ramifications of the one-child policy in China. I myself have met someone quite a long time ago that lived as a student in our house that was a child that was not affected by it, but her sister, or her potential sister, was affected by the one-child policy in China. And that being no fault of her parents. The parents wanted to keep the sister. That's all I'll say. If you don't want to meet them in person and you don't want to be there for this big family reunion, you shouldn't go. You shouldn't be there. That's not a healthy environment. And much like that commenter who had it filmed, yeah, that would be a gut punch. That would be a big psychological takedown. I get where you're coming from. That's not a fun thing to have to deal with, especially given, you could have died in that alleyway. It's a miracle that you were even found, especially in the Chinese winter. That is brutal. Not the asshole at all, and, don't go if you don't want to. And now, on to the update. After some pushing from my bio sisters over getting in contact with our bio parents, as while I don't want to fly out to meet them with my sisters, they still want to talk to me. I finally consented to having a Zoom call with our bio parents, as that was the most I could handle. I'll be honest, it was like a punch in the gut. I look so much like our bio mother that it was a little startling. So I found out some answers to some important questions. Firstly, why were we abandoned? As many of you can guess, it was to do with the one-child policy, and they wanted a son, but there was additional internal pressure to this. My paternal grandparents had told them that if they kept a daughter, they would be cut off and not have a penny of the family money. It's why I was abandoned so differently from my sisters. It was my paternal grandmother who took me out to abandon. My bio parents always assumed that I had died with how she left me, so they took over the abandonment of my sisters, which is why they were left in better places. Was there any other children? Yes. A boy who would be 22 right now had everything went to plan. They had been going to keep him, but apparently something was wrong about him. I don't know what, and they didn't expand on that, but apparently my paternal grandfather forced them to give him up as he was ashamed. Why did they move to France? After our youngest brother was born, they finally gained financial independence from my paternal grandparents and were able to move. They were the ones that asked their son to take the test, hoping to find their other children. Where does this leave us? They were so happy to talk to me and kept going on and on about how now they have most of their children back and could have it all. I cut them off there and told them they didn't have us back. I expressed sympathy for what they've been put through by the paternal grandparents, but I pointed out that they chose money over me and over all of us, and how they could have chosen to simply keep me or any of the others and make their own way in life, but they hadn't. I thanked them for the call, but I told them that I had a family already and had no further interest in speaking with them, that I'd continue to be in contact with my bio brother, but this was all they would get. They tried to beg me to stay on the call, but I left, and I admit I had a little bit of a sob afterwards. My adoptive brothers ended up taking me out to drink afterwards, and the three of us got hammered while I vented and cried, but it helped me work through things a lot. So thanks everyone. I just figured that you all deserved an update. In the comments, Mum Loves Monsters says, I really hope that the conversation with them gave you some kind of closure. Thank you for sharing this update with us. Yes, at least she got a few questions answered. It seems like it would be better to know than to always wonder. Doesn't exactly make it easier, but perhaps provides some closure. I really hate the one-child policy. It sucks for so many people, especially girls, because they're almost always treated horribly or given up and treated worse. I know some families would rather leave to another country than to have to pick and choose a child. If you choose not to be involved with your bio parents, then I feel it's for the best, because at the end of the day, they literally did choose money over you, and what would have happened if you were never found? And also kept choosing to have children they abandoned until they got the right one. They can feel bad all they want, culture, pressure, etc. I sympathize, but they did this with all of the daughters and one brother who wasn't right. Exactly. all because they want the perfect child. When I first watched the documentary about the one-child rule, my heart broke seeing how the girls they gave up were treated. So many cultures treat girls like they're only good for home care and birthing kids. I grew up in a household where I was supposed to take care of everyone, despite being a child myself. I have a daughter now, and I refuse to treat her the way that I was. And now on to the latest update. Hello everyone. I never expected to return to this throwaway account, but here I am. A little refresher. Myself and all 4 biological sisters were abandoned due to the one-child policy and found each other later in life, as well as our biological parents and a younger brother. Due to the way that I was abandoned, I had no interest in getting to know them, but I agreed to a single Zoom call to get some answers. It has come to my attention that my youngest bio sister, who is 22 and lives in Germany, has been in contact with our bio parents after the initial meeting, and they offered her quite a bit of comfort after her long-term boyfriend cheated on her, and that relationship fell apart. She's now revealed to us that she plans to go to Guangzhou in the near future to meet a man who our bio parents wish her to meet, as he's supposedly the son of their friend, and our bio parents are apparently paying for this entire trip for her. Our sisters are a bit hesitant about this, but no one wants to tell her that it's a stupid idea, as they feel she's a grown woman and that it's up to her. I tried to express concern, but she would not hear it, sold on the dreamy idea of meeting a handsome man from the country of our birth. I'm worried about her and how badly this can go wrong. I also have my doubts about the validity of this situation, as something seems incredibly off about it. So I reached out to her adoptive grandparents to let them know of her plans and my concerns about this whole situation. They were horrified by this, as they had no idea, and their immediate concerns were that this was a potentially dangerous situation, and they assured me that they would handle this. She has since reached out, demanding to know why I got in contact with her grandparents, as it was not my place, and that she can make these decisions for herself. I told her that she may want to wear rose-tinted glasses when it comes to our biological parents, but I'm not going to let her fly across the world to a likely dangerous situation to meet a man that she's never even spoken to before, which she told me if he was a creep, she'd at least get a free holiday out of it. That's insane. We ended up arguing quite a bit over it, with some heated words being exchanged. Our bio sisters have told me that I shouldn't have gone behind her back like that, and if it was a mistake, she needed to learn from it herself. But I worry that she may not have had the chance to learn from it if it was a mistake. Meanwhile, my adoptive brothers have expressed relief that I'm not that much of an idiot, or else they would have locked me in my room until that idea had left my head. I do think they needed her plans for her own safety if nothing else, but maybe I'm an asshole and could have handled it better. Was I wrong to go behind her back like this? In the comments, bfan72 says, not the arsehole. There is now a shortage of women in China. Your bio parents will use emotional manipulation to get her to marry him. She's going to want your bio parents' approval if she goes there. You absolutely did the correct thing. Not the arsehole. It's not a free holiday because she'll never be allowed to go back home. My fear is that she would be kidnapped. I doubt the government would put too many resources into fighting her. I wouldn't want my sister to step foot in China due to this fear. Wouldn't be surprised if the bios have or intend to collect a bride price for younger sister. Nowadays, the expectations for a girl's parents are a matrimonial home, a car, and bride price to the girl's parents in return for raising her. 22 is prime marriageable age. Said bride price will then be used to fund younger brother's matrimonial home, car, and bride price to his in-laws. If the match succeeds, the man can then travel back to Germany with the younger sister and get a job. The Chinese economy is in the doldrums right now, Peppermint Valet says. OP is unimaginably strong. Also, the phrase took over the abandonment is wild. Yeah, I skipped over that one. Hey, Mom, can you take over the abandonment here real quick? Cheers for that one. Like, what? Man, it just seems like nightmare after nightmare, doesn't it? Not to, infantilize people or anything, but 22, she still doesn't understand what she's getting herself into. She doesn't understand the world enough. I recommend she does a bit more research into the entire history of the one-child policy, the ramifications that it's had in this modern age on the dating market over there, and look into some nightmare stories of how these things have gone wrong over there. I'm with the commenters. To me, it sounds like she's setting herself up to get kidnapped, go missing, never be heard from again. She has no guarantees that it's going to go well. She doesn't know this guy. She doesn't know anything about what she's doing by the sounds of it. I'm on OP's side. It's an unfortunate situation too, because it's a lose-lose either way for OP when it comes to maintaining that relationship with her bio sister and potentially the rest of the bio sisters. You get involved, you piss her off because she thinks that you shouldn't get involved in situations like this. She doesn't get kidnapped, all goes back to normal, and she doesn't go to China for this reason. You've now effectively burnt a bridge with her and potentially others that side with her. That sucks. Or the other way around, you don't get involved, you don't say anything, she goes to China, she gets kidnapped. That's bad too. Not to say China bad. I don't think China bad. You could go to any country and get kidnapped. The situation itself is so shady. She could be Australian and be going to America. I'd still say, don't do that. You don't know anything about what you're doing over there. You might get kidnapped. Are you really gonna take that risk? Anyway, I think OP's not the asshole here. I side with her. I think that was a really stupid thing for the 22-year-old to agree with and just go along with, knowing her parents had already abandoned her. Why does she trust them like that? Come on. Use your thinking brain. Before I get into this story, doesn't have an update, so just be warned. Our next post is by user AdorableCost806, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for bringing a much older guy to Easter dinner after my dad left my bio mum for someone closer to my age? I, 18 female, moved out at 15 when I got into a boarding school abroad. When I was 12, my dad, 45 male, cheated on my mum, 43 female, with a woman, 26 female, who was 20 at the time. They ended up divorcing, and he's been with her ever since. She's only a few years older than me, and for the past few years, she's been at every family holiday. She's clearly only after his money, but he's too stupid and stubborn to understand. This year, for Easter, I flew back home and asked a friend of mine, 38 male, to come with me and pretend to be my boyfriend for just a few days at my home. After dinner, my dad pulled me aside and told me that he felt uncomfortable with the situation. I told him that I didn't do anything wrong, and that after him, love has no age. Love is blind. He told me that I ruined everyone's Easter by being selfish and bringing someone his age to dinner. I flew back to school, but now I'm getting messages from a few relatives saying I should apologize to my dad and break up with my boyfriend. I haven't responded. I don't think I'm in the wrong because he's made my life uncomfortable since the moment he cheated on my mum. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Crafty Reed says, "Very rich of OP's dad saying he's uncomfortable when he cheated first. When will they learn? Not the asshole. The double standards really are the cherry on top of it. My daughter can't date an older man, but someone else's daughter can. He had no such issues, like what her family might think when he cheated with her and divorced for her." I would message all those people back asking, why is an age gap okay for dad, but with me it's a problem? If I told you guys he's married, would it be okay? I was talking with stepmom, and she was telling me how great it was being with an older guy. And she told me all the great ideas she had on what to spend her inheritance on when he dies. Back up to the post, there's an edit. Seems like many think that this is a lie, and I would too, but I met my friend in a book club when I moved to the US. I'm from Europe, and he's been a great father figure to me, to be honest. When I had no friends there, he would buy me dinner and actually spend time with me, and he's recently divorced from his high school sweetheart, so he would have spent Easter alone anyway. Therefore, I decided to take him with and show him around. For reference, I didn't say half of the bad things my dad did or the whole story. It would have been too long, but trust me, cheating isn't the only thing that he did. I know this is immature, people. I know it's extremely immature of me, but I wanted to show him how it feels. Thanks a lot for the advice, everyone. I'll update for Christmas, lol. I'm with OP on this one. There is an obvious double standard here, and they would rather take it out on OP than they would on this man-child, who is touting his 26-year-old around the entire family. But that's cool. That's really cool. It's fine when he does it. It's a problem when OP does it. And yeah, I agree. Maybe those other family members should take the lead and break up with their partners and divorce their lovely spouses if OP is to be expected to break up with their lovely partner. How dare they come after me and not after him? I'm with you on that one, OP. Screw them. I will point out, your relationship with that much older man, I guess just the friendship itself, to me, it feels a bit weird, an 18-year-old being so close with a 38-year-old, especially if you had met him when you're like 15 or 16. Yes, I understand people can have friends. People are allowed to have friends. It's just weird. Just saying, it's a bit weird. Anyone else notice that? It's a bit weird to me. This whole story's weird. The dad's weird. You're a little weird, OP. He's a bit weird. Life is funny sometimes, huh? And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. And watch my podcast, link in the description. Bye.